Today we're diving into Harman's world of high-octane builds. First up, the Ford Mustang. Reborn with a staggering 700 horsepower under the hood, this beast isn't just fast, it's a thunderstorm on wheels, without much of grip. Then we slide into the Audi S6 V8, where elegance meets aggression, fine-tuned to deliver power and poise in one sleek package. And don't forget the BMW 750Li, an executive ride turned head turner, thanks to Harman's Midas touch. Each car is a masterpiece, crafted with precision and fueled by passion. Stay tuned as Harman pulls back the curtain on these incredible transformations, sharing his secrets to tuning premium cars into road royalty.
Stock. The Mustang was a better car when it was stock. I think some cars are better left untouched.
Okay.
I think Mustang was one of those cars you would have left it as is and it would have been a good cruiser. Yes, it definitely was a good car.
Okay.
But the added benefit or the weightage of having mods put on top of an Octavia made it really fun. I know it sounds weird because people usually associate wheel spin with the rear wheels. But in a country like ours where we didn't have much to play with, having a front wheel drive car, the moment you put your throttle down, it's just completely spinning. It sounds silly. It's not right. It's making the car eventually slow. But the fun of it, that is what I liked. So it was my money. I felt like a lot of people told me, why don't you buy a rear wheel drive car, this and all. I'm like, I don't have the car which will give me this much amount of power, this much amount of fun. While being rear wheel drive, you don't have those cars at that time.
So after the Skoda, I wanted to ask one question now that I still remember you had one Mustang, जिसका कुछ snake करके आपने नाम रखा था. So I'm not really clear about what it looked like. So can you tell us more about how the Mustang happened and what works you did on that?
Right. So at that time, I just bought a Q5. My dad gifted me a Q5. It's like, now I want a daily runner now. So the entire thing, like I sold the Octavia, I sold the Laura. So now I needed something fun.
Sell the Q5 also.
So now I'm like, I kept the Q5. Q5 was a daily, so Q5 I kept for a while. So but the thing with Q5 was not really interesting. I even tried making it interesting. Why I put a TVS Stage 1 on it. The day I got from the showroom, it came to Arush. We put a Stage 1 TCU, Stage 2 ECU, Stage 1 ECU, Stage 2 TCU. You know. So we tried to make it fast. It didn't really work at that time. It was very boring. It was not that great. It was just a decent family car sort of thing. So then I got into this thing, what should I get next? It should be at least departing from the VAG scene and getting into something, bigger. So I got a very lucrative deal for a Mustang at that time. So Mustangs at that time, they were being priced anywhere close to 70. There were people selling the cars for 60. So there was a good segment margin between, we can get an almost new car in 2018. So it was a year old. So almost a good car in that time for about 15-20 lakh rupees cheaper. So I got a very good deal on a Mustang. I picked it up. Now I didn't know what to do with it. Because with the VAGs, at least I'd been having groundwork and research and Arush was there. So he could advise me out on it. Mustang, there was a blank canvas. I had no idea what to do. So I started very slow. I put a GT350 kit on it. Really like the look of the GT350. So I put the GT350 kit. I was thinking the car is looking very nice, but it should get set of good wheels. अब मैंने कहा कौन से wheels? So he said, let's do the GT350 6R wheels only, the same wheels. These wheels came in two formats. One was a carbon fiber finish, it was a carbon fiber wheel. And then there was a standard matte black finish. We got the prices for the both and we were shocked. The carbon fiber wheel is 20 lakhs. And the standard wheel is what, 4?
Did you say 20 lakhs?
20 lakhs. The carbon fiber wheels for the GT350R were 20 lakhs to bring it to India. मैंने कहा no, I might be dumb, but I'm not dumb enough to get carbon fiber wheels in a country where they could get scraped tomorrow and my entire 20 lakhs are down the drain. So we bought a decent set of wheels. We got the GT350 standard black wheels. Now the car was looking the part. There's something missing. What to do? I don't know what happened that day or what had Arush eaten for breakfast. He's like, why don't we put air suspension on this car? And it took me by a surprise because I didn't expect it to be. The rest of the cars I'd been investing so heavily in putting Bilstein shocks or Ibach springs and all of that, and now I'm coming to air suspension. I'm like, why? He says the car in itself is a failure in terms of performance. Because for this that this is not a track car. This is not something that you will be happily rowing around the roads and trying to cut corners. This is more of a dragster. So you will never be able to drag in this country because there was no launch control or no formats like that before. He's like, why don't you put air suspension? At least make it a looker. I'm like, okay. I mean, I like the idea of it because for me also, the only thing the air suspension that I had seen was on my A6. And that air suspension was a very lousy air suspension, goes up, goes down, nothing different. He says, no, this entire air suspension is going to be very different. You will be able to slam the car down on the road. And I'm intrigued, I'm interested, tell me more about it. So then he showed me a couple of pictures, he showed me Mustang. There's a company called Airlift. So it made a specific Mustang suspension kit.
Okay.
I'm like, let's explore this. Kuch nahi hai. What's the worst that could happen? And we got the kit down. And he put the car on. Oh my God. For the first time in my life, I had a control in my hand. I could press all 4 buttons and the entire thing just sat down on the floor.
It must have been like playing PS.
Bro, it was amazing. But it had, so the disadvantage of having that air suspension was a big cylinder in the back, in the boot. It used to create so much sound. But then when it's filled up, you can lower the car, raise the car, whatever. The good part was you could raise the car 5 mm above stock height. So that gave me the advantage where I could take the car somewhere where I wanted to take it, adding another 5 mm to the stock clearance. So it was almost an off-roader.
5 mm तो बहुत कम है.
Over the stock clearance. Initially, if I would have put a
maybe it's
suspension,
50 mm.
5 mm.
5 mm तो कुछ भी नहीं होता. 50 mm is what? 50 mm
Springs,
would be 2
the
inches.
entire range of springs is between 10 to 30 mm.
अच्छा.
The drop or the height is just 10 to 30 mm.
Okay.
5 mm above stock क्या था कि the moment you put a suspension anyways now, the only thing which matches the stock suspension is the stock suspension. Everything else will go lower it only because nobody in the right mind would want to keep the car stock while putting a suspension.
Okay.
Everybody aims to lower the car.
Okay.
This gave me a benefit that I could lower the car, I could slam the car rather, but also have it 5 mm above stock.
Okay.
So it was better than stock, and the Mustang is anyways a very practical car.
Okay.
I have driven it around like bad roads also, and it never really scraped.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, then let's do it. We put the suspension, it looks fabulous. Now we think, now everything is looking right, some things are still not right. The red color is becoming nice. Why? Because there was a lot of red cars. Mustangs majorly were sold in red color. So, kya kare? Let's think. We got so my friend Karan from Autobots, Karan suggested me, let's do a wrap on this car. I mean, okay. So Karan is like, let's look for a color that matches that red, but gives it a nice undertone, and like how I used to have my cars in the darker shades. And he suggested a color called Black Rose.
Okay.
Black Rose turns out to be a color which has a flake of wine red over a base of black.
Okay.
So the moment you see it in the dark, it'll be full black. The moment you see it in light, it'll have speckles of red, all in shining. I'm like, I like this idea. Let's do it. So we wrapped the car. Now we've wrapped the car. Now let's do some things on the headlamps also. So Automark helped me out. They got me a set of these SRT-ish style, but a nice looking headlamp. They wanted to import the first, so I got the first one in India. They put it on my car. It was very nice, good looking. Then we got the projector swap for these angel eyes, where you could actually change the color of your phone. And I used to have them at red at all times. It used to be a very nice stealthy way look. It used to look like an angry cat when you see it at night. And then the Mustang came along. We put a Pro Charger on it. That was a big investment. I got it from Neville, Nev from Mumbai. Nev had sold his Pro Charger because he was planning to upgrade to a bigger Pro Charger. So Mohak from Sushila, he helped me out, and he got me the
Pro Charger. Once again, it's a little this thing.
It's a centrifugal supercharger. So unlike a supercharger where you will put a blanket on top, it works like a turbo. It's sat at a corner, and it's a bolt-on kit for the Mustang. It has an 8-hour fix with the injectors and everything part of the kit, and even a tune as part of the kit.
Okay.
So I think about 2 days later, and we had a running car, 750 horsepower.
Okay.
But it wasn't really that good.
Okay.
The problem with the car was it didn't have enough grip.
Okay.
So it was always sliding. And the Mustang, in any ways, that it really doesn't keep control.
Right.
So with added all that power, it really didn't make sense. So then we ordered stuff from Steeda. Steeda is a big brand that does Ford Mustang performance bars.
Okay.
So we ordered those anti-roll bars. We ordered half shafts for Ford Performance to make it a little bit more robust, more. But it didn't really work. I mean, I was okay with it. So I pulled off the supercharger. I pulled off the air suspension, and I said, I'm going to get rid of this car now. Because apparently, being a very good looker, it didn't really have anything else for me to explore. It was just boring at that time. So whatever it is, it was a good car. It had a good time with it. So I sold it. And you must have seen that car also. A fellow YouTuber, UK07 Rider.
Okay.
He picked up the car after that, and then he's done all his mods, and it's pretty much famous on YouTube. So
Okay. But tell me
Not
one
the
thing
right
on that.
one,
I
yeah.
have a quick question on that. So in terms of experience, what did you have a more fun experience with? Was it the Skodas that you worked on, or was it the Mustang?
So if you talk to me about driving stocks, the Mustang was a better car when it was stock. I think some cars are better left untouched.
Okay.
I think Mustang was one of those cars you would have left it as is and it would have been a good cruiser. Yes, it definitely was a good car.
Okay.
But the added benefit or the weightage of having mods put on top of an Octavia made it really fun. I know it sounds weird because people usually associate wheel spin with the rear wheels. But in a country like ours where we didn't have much to play with, having a front wheel drive car, the moment you put your throttle down, it's just completely spinning. It sounds silly. It's not right. It's making the car eventually slow. But the fun of it, that is what I liked. So it was my money. I felt like a lot of people told me, why don't you buy a rear wheel drive car, this and all. I'm like, I don't have the car which will give me this much amount of power, this much amount of fun. While being rear wheel drive, you don't have those cars in India at that time. So the market matured at later stage. You got S4s coming in, a lot of that.
Right.
I'm like, this is where I'm at. This is where my budget stops me, so I'm not going to go about it.
And I think then when you got a Mustang, you did do the cliched burnout.
And I did.
Thanks to a friend of yours.
Yeah, on the MG road. But I was happy with it. I mean, the car was fun.
Who isn't?
Yeah, I know. But I think the only gripe I'll have with this car is you should not mod it performance oriented. Because performance wise, unless until you're planning to drag the car, it won't really be a good car on the road.
And I think personally, my opinion that if you want to buy a performance Mustang, unfortunately they don't have it in India, but then you go in for the Shelby,
the GT350,
the GT350 or
Shelbys
GT500 at that level, because then those cars are completely stripped down and then made to handle those kind of...
Mustangs are never meant to handle. You know the curse about Mustangs always crashing into people. So I had a similar fear in myself also because I didn't realize because I was also from a front wheel drive overpower car coming to a rear wheel drive car. Even it was a welcoming change. I realized that I'll have to drive this a little slower. On the corners, I have to be a little bit more cautious. But over a course of time, you start to learn. Plus, I had Prithvi, I had Kabir, all of them. They helped me out a lot. Then I had Arush, Jay. Everybody was there at that time when I had the Mustang. So they used to guide me on ki kaise karna hai, kaise chalani hai. It turned out fine.
I think the exhaust would have been a turn on.
The first day I put an exhaust, I had a Borla attack the first day. Period.
With the full downpipe, everything.
Everything, the headers. No, don't. So headers.
Sorry, headers.
Yeah. So headers I put later. Before the headers, I put Borla attack, catback, bolt-on. Arush had at least 5 of them in stock. And I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to get it today itself. I'm not going to wait a day more.
Laga
do. And it was very nice. The exhaust sounded good. That was a good partner because for me, after coming back from London where I had the S5, this was the first proper high performance horsepower engine that I had. Was the S5, the S5 that I had in London. That was a 3-liter supercharged V6. It was a decent power, good car. But I never had the roads there to drive it because I was always scared about the traffic laws and all that. So I didn't get much chances. I'd driven it fast, but not that much. But here, now I've gotten access to 400 horsepower beneath me. Even though I know Prithvi will beat me in a drag, I was still happy.
Roaring 400.
Absolutely no. Me and Prithvi had a couple of drags. We realized Mustang is piece of shit. Because even my Octavia used to beat the Mustang.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Octavia was quite fast. See, once it is past that, that wheel spin stage, the 120, 130 horsepower, 130, it just darts.
Flies.
It's a flying dart. It should go fast. Even Prithvi tried. Even he posted a video a couple of years back with a Mustang. He met on this Lodi Road. And he's beaten him down to the pulp. Like, okay, no worries. And he's gone fast and everything. See, you have to realize the car, Mustang, is a good car for hooning. Not a performance-oriented car. I mean, it really didn't matter. Which is a big mistake on my end also because I made it something that it wasn't really meant to be.
Well, that's a learning experience, I guess.
Absolutely. So that car went away.
Okay.
Then came 2 cars into my life. So 2 cars, how it came to us. That was a time when I had spoken, so I had met Akshay at that time. And Akshay gave me, there's a car in India that you know of, that you've had somebody who knows, who's kept it, and he's beaten a lot of people off it, yet you still don't think is the biggest underdog currently in Indian market. I'm like, which car is it? He's like, Swastik's S6.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I agree because he beat that yellow Gallardo. on that drag. Swear.
Yes.
So yeah, I had in mind, it immediately recollected to that moment. मैंने कहा, this is fun. ये तो, I mean, I like the idea. But who finds me a Audi S6? I mean, it was rare. It was really rare. I think had a luck of a charm at that time that I think a couple of days later. So a lot of my cars I buy from Autobest Imperio. So Sunny and Anibhaji, like a big brothers, they've always helped me out. I think to the amount of depth where I've exchanged more than 15, 20 cars and they've always facilitated the best of it. Always. They've made sure that I've never had a problem. A big shout out to them, by the way.
Yeah.
So they, for some reason, had an S6 that somebody had sent them an image of.
Okay.
And apparently they didn't really pay much heed to it because it wasn't a car that's worth keeping in a showroom to be sold. But he shared the picture to me. He said, is this car worth your time? And I looked at it and like, what the hell? And like, this is a good car. And it was for a steal price. It was for a throwaway price.
What was the price like?
I can't tell you that. That is something that I have to keep take it to my grave. But the price was enough that a Creta top-end variant would be very close to it. Yeah. Yeah, and it was a 30,000 kilometer driven S6. It had Bang & Olufsen optioned. It had the Alcantara optioned, everything. Very good car, LED headlights optioned.
S6.
S6. अब उस टाइम पे मैंने
घंटा फर्क पड़ता है Alcantara से.
4 liter V8, sub twin turbo, 420 horsepower, that price. So he was very nice. He facilitated the deal for me. He got me that car. I brought that car down. And I told Akshay, I bought it. How the hell were you able to find a clean S6 like this?
तूने बोला था.
मैंने कहा कि तुमने बोला और किसी यूनिवर्स में किसी ने सुना. और सन्नी बाजी को वो भेजी लिस्टिंग और वो लिस्टिंग उन्होंने मेरे को भेजी और वो गाड़ी मेरे पास आ गई.
तो अक्षय को बोलना चाहिए तो फ्रीक्वेंटली बोला कर.
अक्षय ने मुझे उस दिन भी बोला कि ये गाड़ी मैं आपसे ले लूं. मैंने कहा नो. उस टाइम पे अक्षय वाज एक्चुअली इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ बिल्डिंग माय एस क्लास. So I had, at that time, I had an S500, which I had fully built. So Automark and us, we worked together. We got a black clip. It's a Rolls Royce color. It's a maroonish sort of a black. We did a black clip peelable paint on it. We did Brabus 20-inch wheels on it. We did entire carbon. We did a full RES catback exhaust. And then Akshay, it came to Akshay to get a stage 2 tune on it.
Okay.
So I was touching about 530, 540 horsepower. I was very happy with that car.
Nice.
So this is just an added bonus to me that I got 2 V8s in my garage at that time because I just sold the Mustang. And from getting 1 V8 to now getting 2 V8 in my cars. So now Akshay is like, yeah, how does a person like you manage 2 V8s? And that time I also had a GLS, the 350 diesel that I used to daily drive. Oh, like, how are you managing? Please sell it to me. No, you don't need this car. You already have fast car. I give you this. Ye wo. I go, no, I'm going to stick with this car. I'm going to keep it for a while now. So the S-Class, I sold it later to a friend only, a family friend. He was about to get married and he'd been in the market for a car and he turned out, my car was already done. So 99% of the work was already done, which he had inclined or intention to doing. So he's like, yeah, I'll buy this car of you. And he gave me a fair price and I got rid of that car.
Okay.
So now I was left with this. Now what do I buy? I was confused. And then the S6 build started coming up. So now we started sourcing turbos, the works, the intercooler, the wheels, the kit. And it was a really nice car. And then there was a DS1. It's a sort of a dongle that you buy, an OBD dongle.
Okay.
You buy for the car and it's a one solution for all your ECU tunes. Stage 1, 2, 3, big turbos.
Okay.
The only subscriptions are, I think, 1,20,000, 1,30,000 rupee dongle you buy once.
Okay.
And after that, all your tunes are on the house. So they work out and everything.
So you can keep switching tunes then?
You can switch tunes even with your cruise control switch. The idea of getting a cruise control switch to actually do map switches, I had that in the S6 at that time. And I still had it today. Now the car has been bought by YPM Vlogs.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's wrapped it up, he's put all of that. So yeah, that car still has that provision to change switches and maps. Oh, wow. So we got that car, we got the turbos in, the car was making decent enough power. It was pretty much an 11-second car at that time.
Okay.
11 flat second to go to my car, which was very nice. For me, it was brilliant. And then I was really missing a large luxury barge that I wanted to have. So what do I do? Where do I go? And what comes out to the point? I thought, let's gonna go and buy a BMW, an Audi, or S-Class I've already crossed out since I've already bought it. So I had 2 cars in my mind. One was a 750Li, a 2016 or 17 car. It was the old car, the F42 car. And it was a BMW individual spec car, which I had found somewhere randomly on OLX. And then there was another car, the Audi A8 W12. So I was confused between these two.
Okay.
A lot of thinking later, I turned out that I would love to have a W12, but I wasn't want to go two Audis because I already had an S6 being built. I said, let's switch it up a little. Let's go for a BMW now. And I picked up a 750Li. Very good deal, very nice car. 25,000 kilometer driven. And it had a full red Bordeaux interior. I'm going to show you some pictures.
Okay.
And I blacked it out and I put some nice black chrome 20-inch BMW optional wheels on it.
Okay.
And did a full exhaust remove and did a stage 2 tune on it, making it 40 horsepower. Damn. And now as it turns out, Akshay is like, why are you tuning this car? So that it can run behind S6 as the maintenance car. So you can know the S6 is being run, you know there's a maintenance car that can cover it up. So that's where he built the 7 Series. And 7 Series also had a good time with it. And eventually, about, I think a year back, I sold that car. Because I was I'm done with it now. And it was fun. So yeah, at a point of time, I've even had 3 V8s in my garage.
You know what, honestly, while we are talking, sorry to cut you in the middle, but I think I'm going to note it down. Bhai Krish, लिख लियो, episode 2 का जो thumbnail होगा ना, tune तो चाहिए. गाड़ी कोई भी हो, tune तो चाहिए.
So there was a time, I think in 2019, Akshay knows of this. Every car in my house, that was the house help's car, that was my dad's car, that was my chachu's car, all of them had a stage 1 ECU tune on it. Minimal criteria tha. There were so many times we're buying a Seltos, we'll buy the turbo variant. Why buy the turbo? We don't need it. The drivers will drive it. No, let's buy a turbo.
I wonder why people told me to talk to you.
I bought
you
turbo.
are an inspiration.
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not.
All cars in your house.
I am all in support of just good luck. I've had a good amount of friends, very good quality, in fact, of friends. A lot of inspirations with people who are much older than me and gave me the rides. And Prithvi, Kabir, everybody, Arush, everybody. I think there's so many people I can't even mention who've come and helped me out and you've guided me through.
Of course.
And I think when I'll talk about this, when I talk about all the workshops that I've gotten and getting work done from, everybody will know of me in a good light. That even today being, rather, I wouldn't say as a competition. See, nothing is a competition because I think जो मेरी किस्मत का या जो मेरी तकदीर का customer है वो मेरा है. And customers are supposedly, customers are of free will. He's coming to my workshop, he must have seen something in me. Sure. That is how I lead my business. I am not going and asking for business. I'm just hoping that God blesses me out and keeps the workshop running, keeps me happy, keeps my cars happy, keeps me, in that track where I can, enjoy cars for the longer period of time. So everybody you will talk about, be it, I have done workshops. I think I've gone everywhere from the stretch of Karol Bagh to the best of workshops in Delhi, and everybody knows me in a good light. Everybody is happy that we've gotten work done here, and I've chilled and I've sat with them. I remember there's a very funny scenario. I had an A6 3-liter TDI. Okay. That was one of my first premium cars, the luxury cars that we had bought. I bought it pre-owned only. So it was a 3-liter TDI with the intention of getting a Quattro. Okay. Because I had this thing in mind that I want to buy a Quattro diesel. And why Quattro diesel? So now the fun was that you go to Revo Stage 1, you get 300 horsepower, beautiful looking car, and it drives very well. So I got that car, and now I am in the midst of trying to mod it out. So I tell Arush, Arush, do you mind if you sell me the wheels you have on your car? So he had these Ozzy's, that trim. Yes. So that I put on my A6. He sold it to me, that trims. I put on my A6, I drive out. I'm like, let's go get a P-label. So I'm happy to say that Automark with my car, it was the first P-label paint commercial car that they had done in India with the blue A6 that I had, unless the gearbox blew up and then I sold the car. But yes, everybody, and there was a time when the A6, the final thing was being built and they had done, and they were putting some badges and all of that. And I had an exam the day later, and I was studying on the top floor of Automark in this cabin. I'm doing my notes while my car is being built downstairs. So yeah, I've done that in my time also. Interesting. And yeah, it was really interesting. You see, cars now have always been an extension of my personality. If today also, might I say that if anybody knows me, is a faction is because of those cars that I had built over the course of time, built friendships with those cars, built relations with those cars, got into this habit and got into this business.